Hi, Njeri.
Hi, Tonee.
How are you?
Tonee, I'm so happy that you're here. And I was thinking to myself this morning, there are too many questions. I don't even know where to start. Yeah, and I said that.
I'm saying you've got
I've
a whole piece of paper folded.
It is not. It's not even a. It's not even a tablet. And everyone is always like, "Why don't you have a tablet?" I'm just old school. But anyway, Tonee, I'm so happy that you're here. And at the beginning of the year, I set myself the task of learning all about AI. And I thought to myself, let me do the Oxford course on AI so that I can, be there. Hey, it was a pretty penny.
You see what I'm saying?
It was a pretty penny. And I thought, let me learn everything.
Right.
Now, what it was more of a case for AI and the history of AI and, how to use it, what it means, all of those things I learned and all the technical term, API, all of that I learned. And it was a great course for that. But it was not great in terms of how to really apply AI in this market.
Right.
And so when I started doing my research, I found out all about you. But then you are just not AI on its own. You are just an all around, And so for today, we will just try and have this conversation and see where we go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's just
like a coffee shop vibe. Like I met you for the first time. You met me for the first time.
Correct.
Let's have a conversation.
Okay. So Tonee, tell me about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
First things first. I'm a dad.
Okay.
Girl dad.
Yeah.
Love it. I've got 2 teenage daughters. Unbelievable. Very, very cool. I am an entrepreneur. I love building things. I'm dyslexic and I've got ADHD as an adult. That's a different reality. But I'm also an adventurer. I like trying out new things. I love working with people from everywhere around the world. But my favorite thing is I love being part of anything that changes things. I feel like disruption appeals to me. Like I'm always like, if something is disrupting something, I'm gonna go there and be there. I just find that fascinating. And so the thing I've always appreciated is the power of change. And so if Tonee was to be summed up in a word, it's a change agent.
But I can so see that in everything that you're doing.
Right.
Let's talk about, no, it's true. Let's talk about ADHD and dyslexia. And I saw your Engage talk. You guys, everyone check out the Engage talk. And I think what it taught me, first of all, is that you had very supportive parents.
That's right.
A tough school environment, the villain in your head. You guys will know the reference when you watch. And insecurity from the beginning, plus ADHD and dyslexia. How did you overcome all of that to then realize I can do this?
Oh, darling, but you don't overcome all of that.
Okay.
It's not something that you overcome.
Okay.
It's not a thing I have to deal with and put on the side and then wake up in the morning and move. This is who I am. It is my story. It is like when somebody goes through a traumatic experience when they're younger, or if they go through a successful experience when they're younger, that stays with them. It's how you work around things.
Yes.
Because a lot of people use their background, their experiences, the things that have happened to them as an excuse to not succeed. I just chose to use it as an excuse to succeed, right? Every story I've come across, whether it is a biblical story, because I am a man of faith, or it is a public story or a story from somebody else, whenever people go through hard times, you really have one of 2 choices. You can make that the excuse you use to climb up and succeed, or you can use that as an excuse or reason why you will not. I just decided I want to be better.
Yeah.
That's really it. So there's nothing to overcome. What are you overcoming with a brain structural design issue? Like this, I don't do
Where did you get diagnosed?
USIU.
Also at university?
At university 23.
Okay,
22, 23.
So all of that time, you just thought...
I either thought I was stupid, crazy, or God made me different.
Okay.
Yeah, and it always depends on who's around you, because the people around you try to talk you into believing that you are what you need to be to fit into their reality, right? Notice that when somebody, if you have a passive vision that you have to someone who doesn't have the capacity to hold on to that vision, their job is to disparage you. Because it's not because of you, it's because they don't know how to believe in what you're trying to say. Who hasn't said that? From Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, all of these people we know from our generation should be musicians, but also to folks in political scenes, folks in sports scenes. Everyone tells people who are successful. Michael Jordan was cut from his basketball team in high school. People will tell you who they want you to be to fit into their own reality. Your job is to make sure you don't believe them.
But it takes a certain character to overcome that kind of thing. I mean, you're right. Everyone has been told at one time or another, you can't do this, or it's too difficult, or you're not the person for this, it's not suitable for you. And it takes a certain character to overcome that. So what is it that you tell yourself at that age when you're diagnosed to be like, I can do this no matter what?
I said I'll prove them wrong.
Okay.
For me, in fact, it was never about I'm better than other people. I was less like, oh, you think I'm stupid? Just give me a moment. Let me show you. And I love that. I call it targeted anger. Like people who crossed me when I was younger, I took that as a brick that you could either beat yourself with a brick or you could step on it. I took it as a brick to step on, and I said, I'll come back.
Have you had the ha-ha-ha moment?
Hey,
many
so
times.
Many.
I can see. It's hard now.
My best friend is called Sebastian Waffler. Big shout out, young man. And we used to have this thing, it's going to be a bit outside the box. We used to have this thing called an FU list for the people who spoke badly to us when we were in a bad place. And we put names, and it's not for you, it's for us.
Yeah.
And whenever we cross the name out, we would just do a high five and be like, And we still have people on that list. We're collecting names.
Are you still putting people on the list?
Gosh, we're collecting names.
Oh, gosh.
And we don't do it because we want to disparage that person. You never even know that you're on the list. But it's for us to know what was a challenge for us last year is no longer a challenge for us.
Correct.
And
So
we'll
it's keeping you completely ambitious.
Yeah, and keeps us accountable to ourselves. Because like, that guy, you remember he said that stuff about us? Yeah. Where are we on that guy? Oh, we're coming? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then when we beat him, we just put a nice cross. On his face. And we was like,
We're done.
We're done.
Excellent. So one of the things that I loved is that your dad encouraged you to change the way that you were learning by understanding that because you were memorizing musical lyrics, Tupac, etc., you could then use that to then, learn your physics, homework or, your assessments.
That's right.
And you'd tape them on a Walkman.
Yes.
Everyone, there was such a thing as a Walkman.
There was a Walkman, ladies and gentlemen. You Gen Z folks and Gen Alphas who don't know what that is. There was a Walkman. And parents, and this is a message to parents, you are extremely critical, not just in your child's development, but in your child's perspective of themselves.
Yeah.
I have learned this thing of telling my daughters no without an explanation, because I want them as they grow up to learn to say no without having to give an explanation. But I've also learned this thing of helping my daughters improve where they fail, not by pointing out the failure, but by asking them what was the gap that they missed and why they stuck there. So you find my kids have a much more positive relationship with failure than they do their peers. Because when you get a 30% in math and you go home with that, you're disparaged, you're put down, you're told how rubbish you are and whatever. When my daughter came home with a 30%, I was like, you got 30%. That means you got 30 of them right, and you failed 70. Let's look at the 30 that you got right. Fantastic. Let's look at why you never got the 70. All right, we understand it. Okay, cool. What's the target for next time? 40%. Let's go. Another parent will be like, my child needs to be clever. She's at 78% now. And when you come, we do the same thing. You got the 78, nice. Or was it 72? One of those. And what made you miss the others? And then she's seeing herself as somebody who's striving. That's going to prove very useful in life, because you never walk in any situation and start with an 80%.
Gosh, that would have changed my upbringing.
You see what I'm saying?
I can tell you that it was not allowed to come home with a 30%.
You're beaten for the 70 you missed.
It was a tough thing.
And it's not to say I'm not strict. I'm very strict with my kids, right? I'm the dad, right? And my ex-partner and I are separated, so we do co-parenting very well, much respect to her. But when I have them, I can't be the dad who just lets things slide. But the thing I am about, and we've actually kind of settled on this way of teaching, is let's not make failure a personal character trait. It's an experience. It's not you are not a failure. You failed. There's a difference between those two statements.
There's a huge difference.
Massive.
But gosh, if everyone could learn that, not everyone is learning that, but thank you for telling us that. Okay, fine. So
that's why you brought me to the podcast.
Yes, that's why you're here. So you are diagnosed, you decide to yourself, I'm going to change the way I'm doing things. Cool. You do the thing. How did you come into entrepreneurship in the first place?
I just knew I'd never be able to work for anyone.
Okay.
Like when I was at the podcast with my friend Barak talking about my financial well-being, I went and worked for Kiss FM for a year. And
what were you doing at Kiss FM?
I was producing.
Okay.
I used to work with Lance and with Shafi, and I was their intern. Mm-hmm. That was 20 years ago. And when I looked at the way media worked and the timing and the consistency of doing things and going every morning, and I used to get in there at 4 and leave at I think about 12 or 2 to go to work. To go to school. That was my work session. I was doing my internship. I just looked at this cyclical work and I was just like, I'm never going to succeed in this environment. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
Then I moved from there and I went and worked for the UNHCR. That I also did for a period of time.
What was that role?
I worked in a refugee camp as the head of IT.
Okay.
And I was an intern as well, but I was running a team of my friends from USIU were about 13 of us for what is called the refugee relocation program, right? So they were taking refugees and repatriating them to Sweden, to the US.
So you were in IT.
So I was the guy in charge of that team. And I loved it. It was a fantastic experience. And I still remember to this day, this is 2001, right? I remember to this day, Verum Hutchinson, Wanja Mwangi. Like I remember my people. I remember the guys who were there. It was amazing. But the thing I looked at that and I was like, I was telling my boy Richie at that time, this is not something I want to do with my life. He was getting paid really well. I don't want to be somebody who runs in somebody else's little mouse cage. Yeah. As good as the money was.
Yeah.
And when I was done with university, after being there for 10 years to get 2 degrees, because my mom was a lecturer, so I was paying less than most.
So you could afford the 10 years?
I could afford, because she was paying taxes, man. When I was paying full fees. The thing, when I went to my parents and I said, I don't see myself getting a job, I don't even want to get my degrees. My mom picked them for me, by the way.
Gosh.
I stumbled around for like 2 years before the NILAB came about. And I knew that I wanted to be able to be in charge of my own future. I don't want somebody else to be responsible
So when you were stumbling, what were you doing?
Everything. Building websites, opening up Twitter accounts.
So freelancing.
Doing whatever came up to, because it's a hand-to-mouth situation. But I was living with my parents then, so it was cool. But trying to get some money for the club and whatever. Gotta buy the ladies pizza. There was Nando's at that time. You gotta get the cash. So the hustle was real.
Yeah.
But the thing that I got to learn very quickly was technology was calling to me. And I've never coded. Like I'm self-taught.
Yeah.
But technology was calling to me. That's where I wanted to go. And so I jumped into the tech scene with Bat Lacroix, and we built the NILAB together for.
So what was that NILAB?
It was a glorified coffee shop.
Okay.
Basically, it was a co-working space.
Co-working space.
Before
The
co-working
first.
spaces were dope.
Yeah, okay.
It was a co-working space. In fact, Nairobi Garage was right behind the street. And it was a co-working space. That's what it was. And nobody thought technology could come out of the continent. That was the thing that is amazing. Timing is a phenomenal thing. No one thought technology could come from the continent because technology was a Silicon Valley thing. Yeah. Even Europe wasn't trying to make it work. Then Africans want to try to do something. And we did. And that's what shocked everyone. Ushahidi came out from the iHub crew, Eric and Giuliani and Ori, and that, because that's the time, I think there was a hurricane or something like that. Then there was post-election violence, and then there was stuff
around 2007.
2008.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's when folks were like, wait, there's actually tech coming out of Africa. They were on Time Magazine and all of that. And that brought a spotlight to the continent. And we were just building out stuff.
And how were you, let's talk about from a money perspective, how were you making money from it?
We weren't.
You weren't? It was a benevolent venture.
Let me tell you, it's good to have people who are very kind to you because a lot of these narratives, when you see somebody on a podcast, traveling, because I travel quite a lot and I put that stuff on video, you're like, this guy's balling. A lot of the time, I don't have much line of sight of where the next big check's coming from. And someone, like in the NILAB case, the rent was 300,000. This is 2008, 2009, 300K. I'm 28. I have to do 300,000 shillings rent. I've got a team. Let's say we pay them 200,000, and we've got projects that we're trying to run, which is 200,000. So every month I was coming up with 700,000 shillings from my mind.
But where was it emanating?
You just go to a company and you're like, yo, you guys need a better website. This website is rubbish. So you do a website for you. 3 Mice used to charge 5 million for a website. We charged $1 million.
Gosh.
We're like, yo, let's do it. And that time, websites did cost 3, because there's no WordPress. We're doing it in code.
And it wasn't
C++,
very fancy.
Java. It was not very fancy.
Yeah.
So you bring people together. You're like, if you guys want to keep this space going, see, we all come together and build this website for this company. We get this money. We pay this rent. You guys keep staying here.
Yeah, exactly.
It worked out. And there were good folks, Fares, Kaboro. There's so many people from that time, Hamilton, Juma, or Tosh. And there were so many people who built this wonderful community of guys who came together. And we said, we need this community. Let's chip in. Let's bring Mozilla. Let's bring Google. Let's bring. And even then, when Safaricom came and gave us free internet connectivity.
Wow.
That's big money, man.
Yeah.
Because that time it was, here people are complaining about 30 Mbps in their houses. We were on 1 Mbps and we were thinking we're balling, man. I can download that song from Justin Timberlake in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes. That was a big thing. Now it's, if you see buffering, you cancel.
You get annoyed. Okay.
So it was really good vibe from our landlord at Bishop Magua. It was good vibe from my landlord at home. It was good vibes from the people who allowed us to go 1-2 months without paying because something's going to come out. And it would come.
And so how did that then, what was the next evolution?
So when I left the NILAB, I wanted to do something in education because I was always passionate about it, being a dyslexic kid. Started Kitabu. Kitabu has always been a passion project. And it's always been an R&D kind of thing. I want to figure out how to get kids to study at home and be comfortable. And we did that for a while. I started getting disenfranchised after doing it for about 8 years. COVID hit. And then there was a big swell for EdTech, and we were caught up in that swell. We did what we could. And then just as the lull started getting into, again, I was like, should I close it? I don't know. In 2022, OpenAI showed up.
Okay.
That was transformative because I was like, this is the thing we've been waiting for. An AI-based tutor means every child in Africa who needs a teacher can have one who knows them by name, age, gender, affiliation, thought process, experience, the whole thing. Now we just have to bridge the gap between AI is here and the child is here. We need to bridge this gap. And if you've been seeing it's really coming closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced the person who bridges that gap first wins globally.
So how are you doing it?
I can't tell you, man.
Oh, you can't tell you. Oh, secrets.
Business secrets. But I will say this. I will tell you this. I'll tell you that the future of work is no longer going to be based on intellect and intelligence. You went to Oxford, she went to Stanford, you look like a Stanford person. Yeah. They went to fancy. That was the differentiator. Now it's not going to be.
Yeah.
So what happens when intelligence becomes a fungible product? When somebody can come out of somewhere, wear the right glasses, and be able to fix an engine built by Rolls-Royce because they have the best intelligence in the glasses. What happens when the thing that separated you from Ivy League students is now completely balanced out? It's kind of what email did. Because all of a sudden, all of us can receive an email from anyone. And it doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. Unlike before where you had letters, and the moment you look at the handwriting, you're like, I don't care about this person, you toss it out. It leveled the playing field to a certain extent. AI is doing that in a big way.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing to say when you're in the continent with the largest number of the future than anywhere else.
Yeah.
So what is it going to look like in 2035?
I want to challenge you a bit on all of this.
I'll give it to you.
Okay, fine. So there's this, you can have an email. You can also have an email written by someone.
That's right.
You can have you may not know the difference between a good email and a bad email.
That's right.
You may not know the difference between the good tone, appropriate tone, and an inappropriate tone.
That's right.
You may have information that is not relevant to you, but because AI has fed it into the system, you believe it automatically.
That's right.
So, for example, if I tell you I'm a 28-year-old blonde beauty, I mean, I am, but that's not the reality, right? So how do we make sure that it is AI is a reality, yes.
That's right.
How do we make sure that it is actually giving more information than covering up for disinformation, if you know what I mean, or lack of knowledge?
And a very good example is the videos. Sora came out and became the most downloaded app there is, and now you're questioning videos when you watch them. You're like, is this the real person? Like,
Yeah.
What's going to happen in politics?
Yeah.
When you have a presidential candidate put on socials saying something that you're like, okay, did you actually say this? What's going to happen in that time?
Correct.
I tell you straightforward, I can't tell. I have no idea how it's going to work out. What I will say, though, is from a position of powerlessness to a position of power, AI provides a much shorter ladder than what was there prior.
Okay.
And I'll give you a very practical example of that. When the internet popped out, the internet allowed people to be able to access dissertations, to access research, to be able to engage with others intellectually. It created communities on social media and all of that. It created such big groups of people who could stand up for whatever it is they want to stand up for. Right now, we're standing up for what's happening in Sudan, and we're all campaigning, and we're getting the attention of our politicians and our leaders and all of that. Internet still offers huge gateways for drugs and human trafficking and pornography, right? And the thing is, all of these are just tools. How humans use them is what determines whether the tool is positive or not. And at this point in time, the goal is not to worry about how the tool is used as much as to build guardrails so that the tool is used meaningfully, right?
Okay.
So I can't tell you what we're going to do about this or about that. There's going to be a lot of problems, for sure, because humans are involved. But I can tell you, though, is we can build guardrails so the weights that are used in the large language models that we use, or large visual models that we use, or large robotic models that we use, are also African-centric. They don't just all come from the typical standard white male perspective. That's where we should, and right now, actually, white male perspective doesn't even mean American. It means Asians, because half AI researchers on the planet are Chinese.
I mean, that's a very good statistic to
Right?
have.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
so it's
important.
not a white
It's
male
not a white
in the,
American.
yeah.
It's not a white male. No, it's
Yeah.
actually Asian
Male. Okay.
perspective. So when you start thinking about that is when you start looking at it and thinking, instead of us focusing on the things that could go wrong, can we focus on the guardrails we can use to protect things from going
Yeah.
wrong? So if somebody takes your person, takes this video, cuts it up, then creates a video of you doing something you don't want, is there a law that you can be able to leverage on, like Denmark has done, or is it? I think it's Sweden. It should be Denmark or Norway, where if somebody takes your image and uses it to do something that you haven't approved, you
I think
can
it's
sue
Denmark.
them and shut them down.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of law we need to have. So if I see you over there dancing with Epstein and I'm the one who did it, I can be sued.
Prosecuted,
you can
yeah.
prosecute me for
Yeah.
that. So those are the things we should
Yeah.
be focusing on.
The other thing, I mean, I understand all of the large language model weights and all of that because of the course. Also, I learned about AI colonization.
Right.
And that is another thing that we need to talk about
right.
in terms of are the large language models being fed with information that is relevant to us in a way that is appreciable for us. So, for
Right.
example, if it is translating into Swahili or Kikuyu or whatever,
Rwanda or
is
any of
it
our languages.
actually
That's right.
accurate,
Yes.
or is it from a Google Translate type thing? Are we going to be able to say that the information that is actually being kept up in the data is relevant to us? How do we make sure that that is the case?
So large language models were trained on what is available on the internet.
Correct.
What is available on the internet is predominantly not from the African continent, because what is from the African continent either has not been written out, or it is an oral language, or like how many of your own tribal books have you read? Hey, let's speak the truth, Njeri. Tell us, please, good way how you're here with your name. Have you read a Bible?
I have.
You
Well, not a Bible.
Yeah,
Have
you read a book?
I have read a book.
What book
and
have you
several books. My dad used to be very insistent on those Kikuyu tales.
You see
and
now,
and
the
he did.
reality of it is you have the physical book, but you have a digital copy.
No.
Yes, so that's not on the internet, so it can't be trained on what's
Correct.
not available. That would go for the Taita, for the Luo, for the Luya,
Yeah.
for the Kalenjin, for the Kamba, because we don't have material that we can be able to train these models on.
Correct.
So the issue is not it's their fault. No. Like Iceland, who recognized that they have a challenge because their language is oral and not written, went to OpenAI and said, we are going to get every Icelandic individual to put some time and effort to give you some text or some audio files, and then pay you to be able to integrate this into your large language models.
Yeah.
A country was intentional enough about showing presence in the digital world. Africa should be able to do the same.
We should do the same.
That's the stuff we should do.
Yeah.
Because this is a commercial enterprise. Every GPU costs money. Every time you do a run, it's billions of dollars to do a fine-tuning run. A training run isn't cheap. If you don't present us with the material that is required, I say us like I'm a corporate, I'm not. But if you don't present your own language model, how is it that you expect them to do it for you when you account for less than 3% of the world's GDP?
Yeah. So how are you doing that in Kitabu?
Again, secretive. But I will say this, but this is what I say. I say that with 20 GPUs.
What's GPUs?
Okay.
Break it down.
So computers, your laptop.
Okay.
It works on something called a computer processing unit.
Okay.
That CPU is inside the computer. It's the brain.
Okay.
It's the chip, right? Graphics processor units are the ones that are used for video games. Because if you think about a video game and you're driving like Need for Speed and you have a big screen, the computer is showing you what you're doing, but at the edge of the screen, it's recreating, as the car moves, it's doing all the work of creating all those images.
Correct.
You need a processor that can be able to do a couple things at a time. Graphics processor units, which are used for AI, can be able to do multiple thinking behaviors or thinking instances at a time. Now, unlike your CPU, which if you give it a maze, think of a maze like a rat.
Yeah.
If you give it a maze, it's going to go this way, no, this doesn't work. This way, no, this doesn't work. This way, no, this doesn't work. Oh, this way works. It just does that really quickly. A graphics processor unit does all of the ways it can work at once. Which makes it faster.
Okay.
So for AI, you need GPUs because what they're doing is they're training on everything. Now, a GPU is not cheap. It's an expensive piece of equipment. Like an RTX 6040, which is sold by NVIDIA, can set you back $18,000 before tax.
Okay.
You haven't even connected that to a machine,
Okay.
right? So if you take 20 of these GPUs, $300,000 worth of them, put them in one server, like the ones you have in an office, like a rack server over there, and then train it on the way Kenyan education curriculum should be done, how teachers should teach, videos of what teachers have done.
Yeah.
If you train them and fine-tune them on how Kenyan students should be educated, then give these students a website and tell them, go over there. Don't use ChatGPT, use this. It's the same thing, but this one is going to teach you slower, much more visually, and better. What you get as an end, and it's going to be localized to your context.
Correct.
What you get as an end product is a tool that speaks to your young people like a very good teacher in Kenya would. That is the future of learning. Now, not to say your kids are going to be in front of screens all the time. There's a lady from Sweden who keeps talking about the way EdTech is bad for children. The reality of it is she'll say that on TV and then go and work on a computer the whole day. We're training our children for a future where your computer is embedded on you. You've seen what Facebook the Meta Ray-Bans are now. It's a pair of glasses. It has pair of glasses, has a display inside, has a camera, has a microphone, has a headpiece. Soon, we are going to move from the form factor of a phone to the form factor of glasses. It's coming, whether you like it or not. People are putting billions of dollars in it. Your life's going to change. Let's just prepare you for it instead of making you a victim.
The question is it and you're not going to tell me no, but is it a good thing that it's now becoming so embedded in us? Is there a sense of where is the independent thinking?
I'm curious about that question, good thing, because is a car a good thing?
It's a helper, yeah, but you're disengaged from it to the extent that you're not wearing it. It's not embedded in you.
But is the reality of thinking about something being embedded in you makes a difference is interesting to me, because your phone is not embedded on you. But do you leave your phone at home?
Probably not.
Yes. Do you leave your phone when you go to the restroom?
Probably not.
Do you leave your phone? I mean, even in your bed, it's under the pillow.
And it's sad,
right?
yeah. And
so this thing of being good or not, let's just calm this argument down by saying it's not something being forced on you. It's an alternative that you can be able to choose. No one's forcing you to do it. But everywhere you go, everybody has a tracking device on them, a reachable device. Everybody has that thing intentionally carried on them because the benefit outweighs the cost.
But let's talk about EdTech specifically, because it is children who are at a formative stage. Does that make a difference or not?
It obviously does. For sure, I'm not going to disrespect that it doesn't. I think children should have the dexterity of learning how to read, learning how to write, being able to question things and think about things themselves. And there is a thin line, very thin line, that schools, institutions, governments, parents should be able to appreciate and be able to enforce. But also, let's be realistic about the future they are walking into. Being an architect in the 60s is different from being an architect in the 2000s. What do you think being an architect in the 2030s is going to look like?
Correct.
So if we cannot prepare them for that, we're going to have a similar problem we have right now, where there are very few jobs and very many people who cannot get those jobs because they're not qualified for them. So in my mind, I'm always thinking about what's the benefit versus the cost, right? Cost benefits analysis is how you do these things. I'd rather have more kids engaged with technology, hoping that it's going to improve their opportunities in the future, than have the state where we have right now so many unemployed people. For every person in the formal enterprise, we have more than 6 people in the informal enterprise, not because they're not qualified, but because they never had access.
I mean, that's true. Let's talk about, in terms of what you're doing, is it something that you need support from? Are you working with the government? Does the government need to do more? Are you doing, are you working with them? Or are you putting pressure on them? How are you doing it?
We're not working with government, not because we don't want to work with government. We're not ready for it yet.
Okay.
Because Kitab is always very fringe. We are there at the edge. And what we want to do is we want to test it in a couple of schools. We have private schools that have come and said, we actually want to see, because all our kids are using AI at home, and they're just coming and giving us answers, but not explaining to us how it works. So we are testing it, and the course of 2026, we're going to test it. We have glasses for teachers.
Oh, wow. Okay, so already.
Next year. Yes.
Okay.
We'll be very happy about that. We want to put a pilot program in one of the schools I mentioned to you earlier. And then we've got the same school is also going to take up our AI tool. And it's just one school as a use case. But we feel that if we don't test it, no one from abroad is going to come and do it for us.
Okay.
So we're raising capital, we're looking for partners, and the goal is to make AI something that fits the way we learn, both for students and the way we teach for teachers.
Okay.
And we think it's possible.
Surely everyone has heard of DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. Oh, those are two separate things.
DeepSeek is
the
Chinese
version,
one.
Yeah.
Deepfakes are videos. And then obviously what are the protections that we can have against, pornography, all of these things that are, not suitable?
Very little.
Very little.
Yeah. Look, and I think this is the thing about the way the world works. There's always going to be nefarious actors who, Njeri, there's like an ex, some of them like you. And he's like, I've got pictures of you.
I don't know why it has to be so personal.
It's because it is always personal. It's like a personal. It's like, why would somebody pick you and not pick me? You know what I mean? Like, somebody's going to come on and be like, Tonee, I hate you, picture. Put you in a situation.
Oh, Tonee, I love you.
In Diddy's house. There you are at the back. You know what I mean? And there's nothing to do about it. But I think the opportunity now
I love the Diddy's house. That's funny.
It's crazy. he's
that's
in jail
funny.
for 4 years. The thing is, I always tell folks, before the internet brands you, build a personal brand.
Okay.
Be responsible for your digital real estate. Let people be able to say, okay, I've seen that video, but I've also seen you, and I don't know. I think it's really critical for folks to. Remember how we used to do when we were younger? We used to do CVs, and then
What's
you send
that?
CVs.
Oh,
curriculum
CVs.
vitae.
Oh, curriculum
resumes.
vitae, yeah. So people
Those
still
ones.
do them.
I
Why are you
don't
saying
know.
they still do them?
People do that, but
Yeah.
then now if somebody's sending me a CV, the first thing I do is look for their LinkedIn link. Click on that, and then go see their presence on LinkedIn. It's such a shame, but my first disqualifier is if you don't have a picture there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you don't have a photograph on LinkedIn, nah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. If you do, then the next thing I look at is what do you repost? What do you talk about? What's your digital professional persona like? If I see somebody who's got a point of view, even if I disagree with it, I like them. Because this is a person who can be able to speak up, they can say, they can speak, they can all of that. I would put more emphasis on your digital presence, because that's how I've hired people, than your paper presence.
Yeah.
You can give me all the papers you want. Be from Princeton, from all I care. If I can't find you online and see who you are as a character, no interest. So it's to say, for me, own your own online brand. We just did an Instagram video right now and asked everyone for their handle. And I posted it because now everybody can be able to go and see who are the people in the room.
Yeah.
That stuff matters. Don't assume that it doesn't.
Okay, let's talk about you then. How do you make sure that your image is representative of who you are as a person and what the work that you're doing? Because when I look at your Instagram and when I look at your TikToks, you look extremely busy. You're everywhere. You're in Spain one day, you're in France the other, you're with Bill Gates in one, and then you're in your backyard talking with a big spoon over your head.
Yes.
Tell us,
Yeah,
how do you do it?
I just do the videos and I just keep them in the hard drive for a bit. I think there's something called a founder's effect.
Okay.
For somebody building a business and doesn't want to or can't afford marketing, founder's effect is more powerful than a billboard. It's more powerful than a radio ad. It's more powerful than a TV ad. People connect with people who build businesses for them. People don't connect with brands as much as they used to before. And I know you've seen this. I mean, there's everything from whether it's Jake Paul or Kevin Hart or even people in Kenya who have been creating. I'm thinking of who do we know in Kenya who's created a brand because of. There's so many. Who?
Lynn
Ngugi, for example. People have built businesses out of the brand they've created because people connect with them. And I feel like for you to connect with someone, I have to be the person that puts myself in front of you. And it's not to say I'm putting a perfect image. No, there are things I will do wrong, but I will tell you when I do them wrong because that's the honesty of being a human. Being human and a leader doesn't mean you're infallible. You make mistakes, but your intention was clear. And even if your intention was not clear, you are winging it because that's the only way to know if something's going to work or not. When we were doing the Java House hackathon, did we have the money for it? No. We had the money the week before. Can we talk about
that? Because I've seen a lot of activity on that. So how did the idea span, and then how did you make it work?
I just knew that we needed to talk about AI more publicly, and for it, because a lot of people are feeling excluded, we needed to bring something that brings people together. And a hackathon made so much sense.
Yeah,
but we didn't have a venue.
I mean, what is a hackathon? I think sometimes you know, you use language that people they're still we are still in what's it called, millennial
era.
Analog, exactly. And the Generation X or whatever it is before us.
I'm Generation X. I'm a
okay,
Gen
the
Xer.
one before you.
Baby boomers.
Baby boomers. They're still listeners.
Yes.
The baby boomers.
A hackathon it basically comes from the word hack, right? Hack, marathon, hack over a long period of time. And to hack, as you think about it, is to cut something down. Right? Hack a piece of wood. Hackathon was a word that was created to talk about taking a very specific amount of time, a very specific group of people, and a very specific problem, and solving it.
Okay.
And hackathons, for a very long time, were sprints, short, quick runs in which you're able to solve for a specific problem. And so AI was always a very distant thing. Corporate companies are looking at what is happening in the US and Europe and in Asia. In Kenya, they're panicking. They're like, okay, what's going to happen in the insurance industry, medical industry, professional? What's going to happen in the legal industry? And we said, can we get a lot of these digital enthusiasts in AI, put them in a room over an 8-week period of time and show the world what's possible? That's a hackathon. It was 8 weeks long, Friday 8 p.m. to Saturday 8 p.m. We started off with looking for a team of 100 people. We got 3,600 applications in 2 days. And so we said, let's do that 5x, 500 people. We went to our good friends at Java House, big shout out to Wakarindi, Nancy, and we said, we need a place to put these people, and they're in different parts of the city and even in 2 other countries. We started with 8 countries, but people weaned off. And they gave us room every Saturday at a Java House. We loved it, and they gave us a space, they gave us some snacks. We still owe them money, so we're going to pay them for that. Thank you so much, you guys. You guys are amazing. But then what they taught the world, because it's not just Kenyans who saw globally, was that there's such a big community of AI developers in
Yeah.
Kenya. We may not be as top tier as the rest of them, but we can solve for insurance, we can solve for agriculture, for fintech, for health tech, for ed tech, we can solve for space tech, for climate tech. We can solve for that. And we can solve for it on a normal human level, customer level, right?
So
That's the reason why
they're
we did it.
building apps,
Yeah.
AI enabled apps
In
that
1 week.
will be able to do all of this. I saw some of them. There was someone talking about insurance. There's someone talking about putting mentors together as well. Okay, so is it an eventual competition?
They're building. It's a competition where 20 people get to travel to different parts of the world. AFCEN, our partners, the Africa Climate and Energy Nexus, is taking folks to Brazil for COP30, which is happening in a bit.
Okay.
And then Kitabu is taking 15 people, 10 to Rome and 5 to San Francisco.
And they will
Different
pitch
teams.
there.
They will pitch there.
Yeah.
They will get to meet partners there.
Okay.
They will get to speak to people who have got more technological expertise but don't have on-ground knowledge.
Okay.
Because you're building for climate tech, but you're doing it in Rome or you're doing it in some part of Italy. And the people really being affected about it are in the Maldives, they're in Zanzibar, they're in Mombasa, they're being flooded over here in northern Kenya. How do you interact with these people if you're building and you don't even connect with them? Well, let's bring them to you so we can be able to get that done. So in my mind, that's where the opportunity is. The opportunity is in getting people to see that there's a bridge between the technology and the humans, and Kenyans can solve for that problem.
Correct. And where does the money come in?
In every angle, from everywhere. So, for example, is that the insurance solution you mentioned?
Yes.
Insurance companies have reached out. They're like, okay, so we want to talk to these young people. Because we know we're in insurance, but we're not in tech. We want to see what they build, because disruption happens when you're not paying attention. That's where the money is. Corporate companies, private individuals who have come out and said, we want to build something in this space, startups, and also learning and education institutions. They're like, we want to see what we can do in education, technology, for our students. So there's a lot of money in a lot of small places. We've got folks coming out. In fact, one of our bigger investors, apart from AFCEN, came from the US, called Vizex Global. And they were like, we want to be able to leverage on what technology solutions are coming out of Kenya, because a lot of our staff are in Kenya and we're working in the US.
Yeah.
Those are the folks who are bringing in the money from different parts of the world.
I mean, I really can see, and especially when you watch your videos, and you know the enthusiasm that you have for all of these AI
That's right.
and technology in general. Is there I mean, it seems crazy, but is there like a technological deluge? It's too much, and how can we boil it down to just what we need and what is relevant to us today?
So I'm an evangelist, apart from being...
I think that's the right word. Evangelist is the right word, yeah.
And as an evangelist, the thing that is key is to shoot as many shots in the public sphere as possible. There is a deluge, but as I said, cost-benefit analysis, the deluge is to try and get as many young people empowered and employed as possible. Let me give you some very specific numbers. In the next 7 years, we're going to lose more than 30% of the jobs that are in white collar and increase 50% of the jobs that are in blue collar.
Okay.
A lot of lawyers will be replaced by technology because it's an intellectual game. I told you about that. But a lot of electricians and plumbers and dog walkers and therapists and all of that will increase in number because human-to-human interaction will increase because human-to-technology interaction will decrease. Everything you have ever studied in school as a professional lawyer with all the two acronyms and the two letters behind your name, LLB, BWS, whatever they are, all of that can be summarized into a bunch of books and thrown into a large language model, and an AI legal solution for Kenya is created. And if I get into trouble, I can be like, what am I supposed to do when somebody has stolen my stuff? It says, well, according to Cap 3, Section 8 of the...
This is what you do.
That's going to be a real challenge for your industry. But do you know who's going to come and build that out? It's not going to be a Tonee. It's going to be a Njeri, LLB, because you understand that industry.
Yeah.
Same thing applies in all of this, whether it's a medical industry, all of that. And what you're going to find is there's going to be a coming together of white-collar professions into a digital ensemble of some idea so that you have 12 apps on your phone. The same way we all have Gmail and Google Maps, and it's all Alphabet, YouTube, it's all one company. That's what's going to happen in the white-collar space. But the blue-collar space is going to blow up. Who is going there to tell young folks that we need folks who do stuff in data science and I mean, putting together the equipment, in wiring, in networking? Who's telling young people that we'll need more electricians and more plumbers? Who's telling young people that? If we're not screaming about it and the opportunity that's coming up, you will wake up one day and you will not have a future because you are not prepared, because Tonee stopped shouting.
Yeah. Well, Tonee, keep shouting.
That's
But
what it is.
this morning, I saw on your Instagram that you talked about, and you reposted a video on Jevons paradox.
Yes.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, Jevons paradox.
Okay, what is
Yes.
it?
Okay, so typically the more technology comes up, the more people come up to use it. And the Jevons paradox is very interesting because if you remember, the example gave was a radiologist.
Yes.
A few years ago, there was a story about how radiologists will be wiped out because
Correct.
AI can be able to read all these things, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What it actually did is it kind of lowered the bar for how complicated radiology as a profession needs to be, and therefore there were more radiologists. But you see, and so what happens now is there are way more radiologists than there were there before, and they're processing things much faster. Two things to note.
Because it's more accessible.
One, those are two things to note. Number one, it's more accessible. So the same thing can be said for lawyers.
Correct.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Before you had to be a Bowman's ex this, you've gone to London.
I can't believe you're shouting at another law firm.
I'm sorry. I apologize. You had to go to this law firm and come out. Then you had to do all these amazing things. I know Bowman, I my people, but I love you too. You had to do all these things to be a top tier lawyer in Kenya. Now, you're going to find very simple individuals racking at the same level as the best in the business because they have your case files and case studies, because there's a large language model that knows the story between Tonee and Njeri of 1997 about X and Y. That's going to bring in more lawyers, and because the lawyer space is just about full, you're going to find that lawyers make less. The same thing's going to go for dentists. The same thing's going to go for instrumentalists and musicians and all of that. You've seen Timbaland, somebody I adore as a producer, has just produced and pushed out his new AI artist. Everyone's paying attention. Because now, whereas before, I'd have to go for a Sanel musician concert or Burna Boy or Black Coffee or somebody, Nikita Kereng, I will go and look for Lucy Njambi, who was created by Njeri, who's a lawyer who's into music. And
yeah, but I still want to go to a live concert.
How many live concerts have you gone to this year?
3. One was a disaster. You may know which one.
It was so bad.
It was a disaster. But 3, actually, and a 4th one to come. But I understand the concept. I understand the concept. But and I think we just need to find ways of being more innovative. Because actually one of the other things is everyone thinks they can be a lawyer because now I have the AI.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily relevant to what you needed to say. Yes, you can get an answer. Yeah. Is that answer accurate? So there's a lot of cross-checking that needs to happen.
Can I say something to that? Yeah? When AI came out in 2022, people were complaining about the accuracy levels. ChatGPT 5 popped out. Accuracy levels up 168%. Right? It's just over Einstein's level of intellect. Not to say it's intelligent. It's word patterns, right? It's not like its own being. But it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better.
This is the worst it'll ever be.
Correct.
Right? Think of Sora, when there was this comparison with Will Smith eating pasta. Did you ever see that?
No.
At the beginning, when they were doing videos, Will Smith eating pasta was the film to try and beat. Because it would look, his eyes were falling out, he looked like a camel half the time, and the pasta wasn't stringing. When it was done by Sora and other models, it was perfect. That's 2 years. Do you want to tell me in 15 years?
Yeah.
It'll have the same gaps it has today? I doubt it.
Yeah, and I think that's very important to know, and it's very quick, and it can be done very quickly.
Yes.
I think what we need to be aware of, just as the guardrail,
the
is that it is still not, you still have to check.
Yes,
you still have to check.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
fine.
right.
Let's talk about Tonee as a person. Now, I mean, Tonee, this is what I'm saying. It's been so difficult for me because there's so many things I want to ask you. You talk about being a systems thinker.
Right.
You've also talked about, how it is difficult for men to be vulnerable. So you're even talking as more as a TEDx talk type person. What is your aim in all of this? What message do you want to put across?
Imagine I don't have one.
Okay.
I really just want to live as humble, simple, but fun life as possible. Like, so many people have no peace and are miserable. So many more people than should be. And I think that's unfair. Miserable because the world has given you a standard of beauty, or the world has given you a standard of success, or the world has told you who a woman should be, or who a man should be, or who a child should be, or who a mixed race person should be, or who a black person should be. There's all these standards we've been given, and that's just not what life is. Life is you endeavoring, trying, learning, failing, trying again, getting into situations that are way over your head and finding out you actually could grow to the position where you can manage them. Life isn't picturesque 4-minute snapshots on some social media app. That's not what life is.
No.
So I didn't come out with a message. I'm not like, I'm an evangelist, but I don't have a message. For me, it's just do the thing that gives you most joy and harms no one or the least amount of people. Because
I'm talking about more of your message, because I know that a lot of men don't have that kind of a voice. So you've talked about the fact that it's very difficult for men to access that level of vulnerability.
Yes.
What message do you have for them in terms of what it is to be a man in 2025?
You'll be so much happier if you just do what is right by you and do the 2 golden rules. Treat others as you'd like to be treated. And in my case, love the Lord your God with all yourself. Because when you offer yourself up to something bigger than you, you find that small inconveniences, like road rage.
Yeah, you said you have road rage.
I used to. It
ended.
Somebody saw that piece of content that I created about road rage and said to me, you have to have bigger things to worry about than some idiot on the road. If you don't, and you have road rage, it shows that your mind is too small.
Really?
It ended that day. And it's funny because my tattoo cut me. I even braked and I was like, you can go. Because wherever you're going to, wherever I'm going to, they are not even connected. Let me think larger, let me think bigger, let me do bigger things. And I found myself, I've stopped wasting time on stupid relationships, on nonsensical engagements. I don't go places I don't need to go. I don't look for
pleasure. What is a place that you don't need to go?
Temporary pleasures are stupid.
What are those?
There's so many in this Nairobi. I focus on what is long-term, what is meaningful, what gives me joy, not what gives me dopamine shots.
What is this stage in your life then? Because for me, when I look at it, it's on an upward trajectory.
It's always going to be one, yeah.
Yeah, it's never on a...
It's always... The most important thing for me to do is always figure out who's on your pedestal. And once you figure out who's on your pedestal, you'll figure out what kind of mannerisms or key
Who is
behaviors.
on your pedestal?
I'll give you in a second.
Okay.
You're going to figure out mannerisms that you can copy from those individuals. And my pedestals have many people. And I don't put them on pedestals in a name of worship with them. I just respect what they've done. Right now, Zoran Mamdani is on that list.
He's the new mayor.
Yes, Uganda is where he came from. I love how he has done the stories, how he has connected people. And the thing is, people think that he started doing that now. In 2000, I think it was in 11, he did a 15-day hunger strike with taxi drivers because the mayor then, Mayor Bloomberg, to get this thing called I forget the name of this thing, a medallion for, you need to get a medallion to run a cab in the US, in New York. It's $250,000, which is like 40 million shillings, right? He wanted to lift that from $250,000 to $1 million. So to put normal people who have taken generations to get a medallion in $750,000 worth of debt. And he, then a New York statesman, went on strike 15 days with these taxi drivers. 9 people committed suicide because of that thing.
Gosh.
And he stood with them then. When he was doing this campaign, one of the people who drove him around was a taxi man who said, I'll put my life on the line for him, because he put his life on the line for me that time, because I'd have been in $750,000 worth of debt. That's like numbers I can't even begin to imagine. That kind of selflessness, I love. Because if you pay attention, it is that selflessness that has made him the first Muslim and most important lawyer in the US. That give and get is what I'm about, because he treated his neighbor with value. And so his neighbor will do whatever it is for him. If there's anything I want to be, is a person who does that. And there are many people who do those kinds of things. Eliud Kipchoge is another person on our pedestal, and he said something so powerful. If you really want freedom,
be disciplined.
Be disciplined. That's the only way
I
you
loved
get
it.
freedom.
I love that.
So those statements, those are the things that I'm working on. So I'm just trying to be the best version of myself I can be, not for you or for someone else or even for my kids. I'm doing it for myself, right? I'm 46. And somebody said, you look 28.
You do.
And I'm like, thank God, because that's discipline, because I don't drink, smoke, and don't do stupid things at night. And for me, if I want to... My father is 75. My mother is 71, sorry. They have both gone through cancer and survived. It is because of the way they live and God's grace that they have done that. A lot of my high school brothers don't have both parents. I'm one of the few. But I can tell you directly, if it was not for accidents and those kind of things, healthcare-wise, my folks were very responsible as to how they got. They were disciplined as they got here. That's what I want to emulate. I want my parents to see my grandkids, and I also want to see my kids. Discipline helps you more than anyone else.
Gosh.
That's it. So it's not about preaching to anyone else. I'm just doing this for myself.
What advice would you give to a young entrepreneur who is now looking to build their own business, whether in AI or not, and is thinking, do I need to get funding? We talked about a bit before about private equity.
Right.
How do I get someone to believe in my vision?
Right.
What advice would you give them?
I'd say 3 things that are very key. Number 1, this is going to hurt like hell. Just prepare yourself.
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2, make sure you stand before your brand. Create a personal brand online so that that brand that is online and the brand that is offline assimilate, because people are going to relate to you how you are digitally before how you are physically, right? So let your reputation precede you. Even if you make mistakes, and I have made many, let your reputation precede you. But the third one is, and I think this is so important, be a sponge and absorb from everyone in every way. Listen to the podcast, Emma Greedy, Lynn Ngugi, the Caroline Tokos and the work that they're doing with Kelvin Courier and sales, and like absorb everything you can, whether it is from A16Z or Y Combinator or 500 Startups or Techstars or wherever it is you go. Absorb just everything. Because at some point, you will have to make a decision. It's going to be a very difficult one. And you don't want to fail yourself because you didn't have the right information.
Yeah.
Do those 3 things right, things will work your way.
What about funding? Where are the funding opportunities?
I don't know. If I knew, I'd have it myself.
No, you do. That's what they want to know.
Well, so start with friends, family, and people call them fools. But I say friends, family, and believers. Right? Get people who believe in you. Get them to believe in you and look at them clearly and be. And I've made this mistake. Get investors who believe in you even when you fail. Those are the ones you want. So that if something doesn't work, they're not running with you to court. They're like, I know you. You are a person of repute. This has failed, but I'll wait. Mm-hmm. I'll give you grace. Let me, take your time, take your time. You have my money, but take your time. Something will come up. I have investors, one especially, who gave me 3 million shillings in 2017, who have never given him back his money. But I'm like,
I got you.
I'm coming. So you see, I'm public. I'm coming. I'm not there yet, but I'm coming. And he's like, I know. I can see it. I can't see the money in the account, but I can see you, and I know you're coming. And when you come in a big way. Those are the kind of people you want. You want people who believe in you to the point where they're like, you could pay me back in 10 years, but that 3 million will come with an X, 10X, 2X, 5X, whatever X. Those are the kind of people you want to start with. Friends, family, and believers. Then what you do is, the next immediate thing you need is a customer. Mm-hmm. Once you have a customer, funding will chase you.
Yeah.
If you look for money, you will not succeed. If you provide value. Quick, fast. We did the Java House thing. We did it beautifully. We have now gone back to them with a new proposition.
Okay, what
there's
is it?
There's a higher chance. I won't tell you.
Okay. All of these secrets.
It's not because I'm even worried about it. It's just that it's not fully thought through in my mind. I don't know how to tell the story yet. But there's a higher chance that they'll say yes. We did something with you and it was successful. There's a higher chance they'll say yes than no. Mm-hmm. That's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to just convert the no to a yes. And if they do so, maybe a competitor of theirs will be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And if we get 2 competitors, I can go to any investor anywhere on earth and be like, this is what I want to do. These are the 2 clients. Here's 2 emails or letters saying that they're willing to work with us. Give me X. They will give me X.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
how do you manage, like, when, you have to have a lot of energy for this thing,
right.
Yeah? Right. To be a people person, to be constantly customer facing, to be constantly, how do you get the energy for all of that?
I love what I do.
Okay.
I saw a phrase which confused me for a while. Don't love your job your love. And I really never understood that phrase. I was like, what is that?
That was the height of, what's it called? Those interpretation things. Yeah.
But if you really decipher that actually makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. I am doing something I love. This is my hobby. I will line up podcasts and talk about this every day. I will wake up at 4 a.m. and give you a spiel. I will sit down and do a deck. I will pitch. You'll fly me to Morocco. And like, there's a time I had 6 flights in 1 month. And I was going and come back. I'd come home, change underwear, I'd put clothes in the washing machine, wash, dry, put it in the bag, go. And because I enjoyed it so much. My body said, no, you need to stop, please. We are a bit older. But I really love what I do.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. If I was working for someone whose profession I don't love, this would be slavery. But I'm not.
Yeah.
I love what I do. That's how you get it.
Can you tell us about a time, what is it, like the lowest low? Have you had a near miss experience? Have you had like
Always.
One of those places where you're like, gosh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
What was it and how did you deal with it?
It's not even a long time ago. I was in New York a little bit ago. I flew there. Did I go business class? I flew
Business class.
Yeah, I think it was it was a
I
very
know
fancy
that business
experience.
class is the music to my ears.
Yeah. Did a long flight. I remember everything around it. I was in a fantastic hotel. The view. I was in LA. I did a beautiful shot of LA.
Oh, the Hollywood one.
The Hollywood one.
Yeah.
There you go. I did that, and I had fantastic people there, and I worked and I enjoyed it. And I sat down. This was not a very long time ago. I sat down in an apartment that was like $1,000 a week or whatever. Those are big numbers. And I choked up because I was lonely, desperately lonely. I missed my daughters. I missed my partners. I missed my business partner, Seb. I hadn't spoken to people face to face for so many weeks. I didn't know people around me. And I was sad, genuinely, like heavily sad. And I don't journal. It's not a thing I do. But I looked for a piece of paper and I wrote down some stuff. And that was actually before I did the Hollywood video.
Yeah.
Just before. And I wrote all the things I'm grateful for. And it kind of brought me back. But I also wrote the things that break my heart. It's a very lonely path. You're by yourself. A lot of the things you're facing, a lot of the challenges you're going through, you can't share with anyone else because they can't relate. They're like, why are you complaining? Your
You're
kids
in
are in
Hollywood.
an expensive school, you're in Hollywood, you've got these things are paid for. What are you complaining about? Money can bring you a level of satisfaction, but it's never going to bring you happiness. It'll solve some problems, and big ones. But at the end of it, if your heart is not full of people and family, and those are the important things. If you don't make space for those things, you can get very successful, very lonely. How many people have we seen do that? And I don't consider where I'm at successful at all, by any stretch of the mark. I don't think so.
Well, not
To my bar.
To you, because
me, yes.
according to the valuation,
the
valuation is talking a whole other. Yeah,
that's true. But then, according to me, I think success is when you have freed the people around you from the strain of life. That's success. When you have more time and space with the people you care about, because you did something so successful that you've retired them. Then we are all going to X to hang out for 2 weeks, and nobody's worried about bills. That, for me, it's not about having the fancy vehicle. No. My cars are very standard. What I do enjoy is that my dad never has to worry about medical bills anymore. That's the stuff. Sometimes he just calls to annoy me. I need money for and I know you have it, but here is the money. Just because you wanted to have a conversation, that is success. So for me, the dark times are when I forget, which I do a lot, that real success is in your heart. It's not in your bank account.
If I tell everyone the valuation is 1 billion, what does that say? When you hear those numbers, what do you think?
I used to think they're cool. I used to think it was a big deal. No. I mean, the papers look nice, right? You go to an investor and you're like, my company's valued at X because of the opportunity here and there. And they look at you and they look at the paper and they look at you and they look at the paper and they're like, this is very impressive. Because people who look like me usually don't have this kind of valuations for their companies, and we don't even have a product.
Yeah.
They're just like, if you put something in the market, it will succeed. That's all. Because you have the positive. It used to feel great, but now you have to live up to the expectation. That's where the work begins. So that's why when you see, I'll send you an email at 4:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning. You're like, do you sleep? I do, just not often. But I do. I take care of myself for sure. But keeping up to that standard, knowing that not very many people who will do that, it's difficult.
It's difficult, yeah.
It's difficult.
And the highest of the highs, what has been the best experience so far? What has been your,
I've had many.
Okay,
But
tell us one.
The biggest one was when someone got into a medical emergency, a very big medical emergency, and they did not have to pull out a wallet at all. I walked in, didn't say anything. I was like, hi. And the lady in the hospital was like, oh, it's you. This is your person. Okay, we'll sort it out at the end. And they were taken care of completely. And when I was walking out, I put my card on the desk. No conversation. She took it, she did the thing, and I put it back in my pocket, and I walked out. There's a little high outside that I walked towards. As I walked towards the car, I'm sure I jumped a few times. That joy for me is heavy. And he's not somebody who's even directly related to me. That for me was like, that's the win. That's the win. Giving is
that's all the work is for.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. So you're a mentor as well.
No.
Do you not do mentorship?
I don't have time.
Do you not?
Imagine.
So all of this young people that you're shepherding, that's not mentorship?
I'm shepherding. I'm shepherding them. the best I can do.
I guess it's not formal.
I don't have the time to mentor. And if you're going to be intentional about mentoring someone, give them time. I need to see you. I can't see you once a month and then say I'm mentoring. I tried it. It didn't work.
It didn't work? Okay, fine. All right. 2026.
Hey, it's going to be crazy.
Tell us what you anticipate.
I think a lot of the things that people have held on to thinking that they will never be displaced will be displaced.
I know you like the whole disruption thing.
I do. I love
you like
it.
the whole
I
do
love
your
it.
thing.
Yes.
Go and do things.
That's right.
Yeah.
All of it will be displaced. I think
Okay.
industries that have been strong and in the market and been there for a very long time will be greatly displaced because a majority of the companies that focus on profit and not customers will find that small bedroom projects will eradicate whatever value they thought they had. And the same way the US is being held together by 7 companies in the S&P 500, the FANG and all of them.
Yeah.
It's the same way a lot of countries that are not necessarily as loud and as public are being held together by faith and factors that they don't control. And you're going to see changes in the insurance business, changes in the customer-facing industry, changes in the fintech industry, in the edtech industry. There'll be massive changes. Because whereas you needed 100 people to be able to make change in the insurance space, you need 4. That's it. AI is going to do everything else. You're going to see that coming out in 2026.
What would you say to anyone who is in those businesses and is worried about where they're positioned, to position?
Get young people as fast as you can. Find them on socials. All these kids exist on the internet. Find them on socials. Do hackathons in your office. Invite them on a Saturday. Tell them your problems and tell them, I'll give you each 10,000 shillings to just think about it and give me an idea. Spend money on R&D. That's the future. The future isn't in tech hubs, and the future is in these young people, these 22, 25, 24-year-olds who come in with slippers and shorts, but then they can run down your company because of something they built on Lovable or on Kaiser or whatever. Spend money on them. I would say if you make a profit, take 1 to 2% of your profit and put it behind young people who you sit in your office, wherever you are in the country, and tell them, you guys do AI? Here are our 7 biggest problems. Whoever gives me a good idea, I'll take you to Diani, or I'll take you to San Francisco, I'll take you somewhere. Those kids will do more for you than your entire marketing, sales, design, finance, whatever group that you have, because they think so differently from the way you think as a business. And they are the future of your business anyway. The banking sector, for example, the average age of people banking in this country is 51. 51. So where are all these companies going to? Who's their customer base? If 51 average age in Kenya is 19. That means in 20 years, these people are on their deathbed and you've got no customers, your companies are collapsing. Pay attention to Europe when you see companies like Revolut have taken over banking, right? What are they doing that Barclays didn't do? Go understand from that and see why the fintech space is going to be really changed out. I think that the status quo has become so comfortable because they're seeing disruption elsewhere and they don't think it's going to come into them. It's going to be a very different reality for them in 26.
Yeah, I mean, those are very good points, especially on Revolut. That's
Right.
a good question. When you're out there in the market, what question do you think people should ask about Africa, and how can we change that in 2026?
I think China is asking the right questions.
Okay.
China is looking and saying, where can we take this big population of people who are us 50, 60 years ago? How can we guide this continent in this direction? And these people are going to complain about that, and I appreciate it. Everything is transactional. I appreciate that as well. But then what if I was a foreign investor? Helios's founder and CEO says it really well. We need to look at the continent and understand that this is the only growth industry in the world. Everything else is plateauing or close to plateauing.
Yeah.
So why are we not paying attention to all these people? It's going to be like this for the next century. Century. Yes.
Not 10 years.
Not 10 years.
Century.
Because it's not like Europe and the US and Southeast Asia are going to start having more babies. Their birth index is lower than their death index. That's a problem. That means that in 40 years, there'll be, by the way, this is true, there'll be people who look like us. A quarter of the world will look like us. What are you going to do when a quarter of the world looks like us?
Yeah.
Right now, it's just shy of a sixth.
A sixth.
Just right now.
Oh, gosh.
It's going to be a quarter. What are you going to do with that?
Gosh,
Africa is where it is.
so it's existential as well as reality. I think that's where the problems are, because
That's
it's
it.
just so in your face, but at the same time, you can't feel it or touch it.
Think about it. Dangote put his oil refinery in Nigeria less than 2 years ago. It's now created more oil as of last week than Nigerians consume. And he's opening up a second one. And this time he said to Nigerians, I'm going to raise money from you. I want you to put money in the second one. giving every Nigerian who has any money to spend an opportunity to increase his value. He just moved from being worth, I think it was $25 billion to $30 billion because of that one investment.
Yeah.
And he wants to bring a second one. What does that do for our energy issues on the continent? We just became visa-free, as many other countries became visa-free. What's happening in Africa when people start moving around? And instead of going to Morocco through Paris or through Doha, I can do a straight flight KQ, Nairobi to Rabat. What happens when I can be able to do that in the other 50-plus countries on the continent? The game changes, big time. That's the future we're going to. Are you preparing yourself for that future?
Gosh, what a good question. And what a good way to end. Because honestly, we could stay here for days.
I'm telling you, man.
Tonee,
we should have coffee after we just hang out.
we are. Tonee, you've been such an excellent guest. And thank you so much for doing this. I think what you're doing is actually bringing the reality of what AI will be to us in the immediate. And I think that's what we need to know.
That's right.
And thank you so much for doing that. You've been a great guest. I can't say anything more. You've filled my cup.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Tonee.
Cute things to say.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
this
you
has
so
been
much
an excellent podcast. See you next month.